We're here in St Audoen's Church in the heart of medieval Dublin. This is the last remaining medieval parish church still in use. But beside me here is something that's even older than the church itself. It's called the Blessed, the Holy, or sometimes called the Lucky Stone. Now, we're not sure exactly what it is. Most likely it's a tombstone dedicated perhaps to an early Irish saint. It dates from the 8th or 9th century according to archaeologists, and inscribed on it is a Greek cross. In a Greek cross, the arms of the cross are of equal length inside in these double circles. A bit similar to the Celtic cross, but of course in the Celtic cross the arms will protrude outside the circle and there will be a long shaft here. The cross is on both sides, except on this side it has these raised moss areas. The stone is made of granite, so it's not going to disappear in any great hurry. Now, why has it got all of these names? Well, we know that for centuries people have believed that the stone has magical powers to give people good luck and to give them good health. So, for example, we're told that in 1309, the Lord Mayor of Dublin at the time, John Ledecker, he had donated a water fountain to the people of the city, a fabulous marble edifice which he placed at the confluence of Bridge Street, High Street and Thomas Street. But he insisted that the lucky stone be placed beside the fountain. His thinking perhaps being, as people got their daily supply of water, they would touch the stone to give them some protection from the notoriously contaminated waters of medieval times. You didn't drink water then, unless you were extremely poor. You'd use it for washing, insofar as they did that much of that, and they'd use it for cooking. But when it came to drinking your liquid, it was usually alcohol, usually beer for most folk. If you're a little bit more wealthy, you might have wine or spirits. And even children had a brew concocted for them with enough brewing process to kill off the bugs. So perhaps Ledecker thought by touching the stone they'd get some protection from the water. We're told that when people were going on the pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela, the shrine of St. James in northern Spain, they would come in here and touch the lucky stone. At that time, if you were going on the pilgrimage from Ireland, you'd start at St. James's Church, the Church of Ireland site. You'd come then to the Hospital of St. John the Baptist, which is where the Church of Augustinian Church is today, and then you'd come inside the city walls and you touch the lucky stone before heading off to Santiago. Now, of course, you might be taking the trip by sea, so you'd sail from Dublin or Wexford to La Coruña, the northern Spanish coast. You're going to have to contend with the high seas of the Bay of Biscay. You're going to contend with sick people on board, overcrowded ships, and also with pirates. For example, in 1482, 400 Irish pilgrims, as they were arriving back on the pilgrimage to Cork, were taken captive by pirates. But again, we're told that by touching the lucky stone, you get some level of protection on your way to Santiago. Now, if the stone is so lucky, people have thought, hey, why has Dublin got all the luck? Let's bring this down the country. So we're told in 1826, a group of country people in the cover of darkness crept into the city, and with their horse and wagon, they loaded the stone and headed out of the city. But we're told that as they moved along, the stone became heavier and heavier and heavier, until about Inchicore, we're told, the stone eventually broke down the wagon. They had to abandon it, and the stone, some weeks later, was discovered by stonemasons and thought, nice lump of stone here, we'll use this for building this wall. And we're told as they raised the sledgehammers to crack it, the stone started to moan and to groan. Other stories talk about it at various stages in its thefts of sprouting arms, taking human form, doing anything rather than be captured. After its last theft in the middle of the 19th century, the stone, when recaptured as it were, was brought back in here and secured to the wall by the Reverend Alexander Leaper. And the old folk in the area would speak about Alexander Leaper returning to the stone even after he had died to make sure that people were looking after it. But he hasn't been seen since 1950, so he must be fairly sure that we're looking after the lucky stone. Well, we had a young Greek man, and boy, do the Greeks need some luck, but we had a young Greek man come in here about 2 years ago and asked could he go to the lucky stone. He'd been here a week before that, and he now wanted to give thanks to the Lord. And I said, of course. So I gave him what I thought was a reasonable amount of time, but when I came back in, he was absolutely draped around the stone. And he said that he'd prayed at the stone the previous week, and that having telephoned Athens the night before, his world was now turned upside down. All his problems were solved, all his relationships were okay, and he was full of the joys of spring, and he laid it all to the lucky stone. As late as last month, a Dublin man came in here on two successive Fridays. After each touching of the stone, he claims to have got a job. So on the third Friday, he said, "Why are you back again?" "I want an even better job." Of course, sometimes I say to tourists, the advantage of this stone is that unlike the Blarney stone, one can remain on one's feet. You don't have to be hung out by one's limbs out of the battlements of a castle. You don't have to kiss this stone that you don't know who's been kissing before. This is much more hygienic. And here you only have to kiss the guide.